It has been far too long since we had ourselves some Suzuki Cup action, but finally, the battle for Southeast Asian supremacy is here once again. And to help us look ahead towards the AFF Suzuki Cup 2020 is our good friend, Gabe Tan, who joins us. Gabe, Singapore are the host country. Playing on home soil is always a plus, but there are heavy questions on this Lions side. Do they have enough to win it at home?
And I think that's, a really good question to kick things off because, like you mentioned, Singapore are the hosts. And, with that home advantage always comes that extra pressure as well, I guess. And, the home factor has not always been, that much of an advantage for Singapore. We see the fans in Singapore, they don't turn up in the same numbers as you would expect in, in Indonesia, Malaysia, or, Thailand, Vietnam. So, I think that home advantage will not count, as much for Singapore. But at the same time, they will be a team that, has to perform and live up to these expectations, no doubt being four-time champions of the tournament. But what I really like about this Singapore side is, the presence of some really key players that we weren't expecting might be available. Now, I think of someone like Iksan Fandi, who, is their real out-and-out striker. He's been that presence up front that Singapore have really struggled to produce through the youth ranks over many years now. And the fact that he's been made available by his Norwegian club side now, don't forget the clubs are not obligated to release the players for the Suzuki Cup, given it's not in that FIFA international window. So I think his presence will be a huge boost for Singapore. And, when you look at having someone like him, if there's someone to put away the goals, then, Singapore do stand a chance because that midfield there, there is some talent there. Haris Harun with over 100 caps will be back again, captain the side. And, you have someone like Shadan Sulaiman as well, who is, that real creative fulcrum in the middle of the park. So, I think Singapore will fancy their chances. There are, a couple of other really good sides as well. But, I think expectations will be that Singapore should be at least reaching, the knockout round and then seeing where they can go from there. But all in all, I just think it's great for football to be back in Singapore with such a huge tournament. It's going to be great for everyone around.
Singapore's biggest contenders in Group A seem to be the five-time champs in Thailand, and they have been overtaken by Vietnam in recent years as the top dog in the ASEAN. How are they trying to regain control of the region for the upcoming tournament?
That's a good one, Aaron. They're trying to regain it by really bringing the big guns because, we saw 3 years ago with the Asian Cup as well on the horizon, they sort of sent out, I wouldn't say a weakened side, but they really left out quite a number of big guns. And this time they're all back now. I can't look any further to start off with than Chanatip Songkrasin, who's been spending the last 3 to 4 years playing in Japan now. He's, a two-time MVP in the Suzuki Cup. So I don't think he needs any real introduction. Now he's going to be back and, really offering that creative spark. On his day, he can easily trouble any defense. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing him again. And, there's also Kerwin Tamsachanan, who's based in Belgium now, having that European experience also coming back to the side. Now, at his best, Kerwin is an absolute beast. I know he hasn't been playing as much first-team football at club level for a while now, but, you can always count on him to be a real, presence at the back, especially when it's talking about the Southeast Asian level. So, all in all, these are two great additions. And, another one I like coming back in is Tirasian Dangda. Now, he's, one of Thailand's all-time top scorers. I think he's no longer the force of nature he once was. And you would expect that after, so many years of service to the War Elephants. He's getting on in age. But again, at this level, I think Thirasin has what it takes to really cause problems for any defense. And you know what? I'm gonna put my neck on the line here and say I really think Thailand are a chance here to really make amends for that heartbreak from 3 years ago and really give Vietnam a run for their money to sort of, reassert themselves as, like you said, the top dogs in the ASEAN region.
All right, we're going to list that down, putting his neck on the line for Thailand. Speaking of Vietnam, we have to close it out, of course, with the defending champs. They've set their sights on bigger goals recently as the only Southeast Asian team in the third and final round of the Asian qualifiers for the 2022 FIFA World Cup. But they have lost all 6 of their matches so far. Is the Suzuki Cup the perfect platform to regain some positivity for this side?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one as well because on one hand you think they've moved on to bigger quests, and this is a kind of tournament you would think for a team like them, they would look to expose more youngsters and maybe bring in, I guess, players that are looking to prove themselves on the scene still. But you know what, I think based on how that World Cup qualifying campaign has been going, Vietnam will need to, just get some good feeling back into the team. So I think, yes, they will be taking this one seriously. Of course, with talent like, Nguyen Quang Hai, they are always going to be a threat. Now, he was the most valuable player at the last edition. He's emerged and really established himself as one of, Southeast Asia's and Asia's really hottest prospect. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. But, they also have other gems in the side. And, one player that's, within Vietnamese fans, they've sort of been talking about him as the next Quang Hai, or even better than Quang Hai, is Nguyen Hoang Duc. And, he's also one that's been given exposure, on the World Cup qualifying stage recently. Now, my only concern for Vietnam is to the fact that a lot of these players have not been having regular domestic football due to the domestic B League being suspended from the COVID pandemic and, the complications that have arisen from it. So, Vietnam have only had those few World Cup qualifiers to play in. Yes, they've had training camps. But, I think preparation is a bit uncertain heading into the tournament. But then again, the quality, as we saw from 3 years ago, was just, at a level higher than any of the other Southeast Asian sides. So all in all, I think, Vietnam will definitely fancy their chances of at least getting out of the group stage. And, come the semi-finals and the final, I guess it's anyone's game. But at the moment, Vietnam definitely do look as really strong contenders as well.
It's going to be a fantastic showdown once again at the Suzuki Cup. I got one date scheduled circled on mine. December 8th, of course, that is Singapore and the Philippines. Me and you, Gabe, we're going to have a conversation about that one. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to it.